Good morning, dear students. So, dear students, in the 7th standard, in the subject science, the topic reproduction in plants, today's will be class 2. We are going to discuss in the class 2 so many things. Before going to that, first we have to recall what we have studied in the first class. That is, we have studied in the first class is introduction about this chapter, along with what do you mean by reproduction, and also we studied that types of reproduction in plants. There will be and two types will be there. First one is asexual reproduction and second one is sexual reproduction. So in that one we have studied that asexual reproduction. That means what do you mean by asexual reproduction? So that contains only a one parent. And also types of asexual reproduction in plants means that is fission and budding, regeneration, fragmentation, spore formation, vegetative propagation, like this. These are the different types of method we have studied in asexual reproduction in plants in the first class. But we are not discussed the last one, that is vegetative propagation. What do you mean by vegetative propagation in the first class? That comes under the asexual reproduction concept. So today we are start with that vegetative propagation in asexual reproduction. Okay. So first one, vegetative propagation. What do you mean by vegetative propagation? Means in this propagation mode of asexual reproduction in plant, in this one, plant pods detached from the parent and form a new plant. So in this one, plant part detached from a parent, that will be detached from parent plant part, and they grow into a new plant. That method called as vegetative propagation. In this one, that is, there will be and two types will be there. First one is natural vegetative propagation and second one is artificial vegetative propagation. But in your syllabus, natural vegetative propagation will be there. So we are going to discuss these three concepts, that is root, by the stem, and also by the leaf. So in your textbook they given first leaf, second one is stem, third one is root, I think. So we are going to study one by one. First one is by root. So you already seen so many sweet potatoes like that. So here bud develop in thick. Here bud will be there, that will be develop in thick. That will be develop in the form very thick, and that will be fleshy root, which later that converts into fleshy roots, because roots are the very important for the growth of the plant. So when the fleshy root will be develop, so when put into the soil, if we put that sweet potato or go into the soil, that develop into a new plant. So they given three examples. Easy is guan, sweet potato. And next one, vegetative propagation by stems. Yes, stems. See here connection will from this stem to this stem. Here will be the stem to stem. Here stem will be extended, and that at the end of the node, that stem node, roots will be developed. A new plant will be grown. Here also stem will be extended. At the end of the nodes or buds, roots will be developed, and this will be grow like this. So that is stems that grow horizontally above ground. Stems that grow horizontally above the ground. Here the stem will be there. This will be grow horizontally above the ground. Example they given grass and strawberry. Grass are the very best examples for the vegetative propagation by stems. And it's very important, vegetative propagation by leaf. So buds are formed along leaf margins, which later gives rise to a new plants. Example is bryophyllum. See here. So in the notes, here leaf margin, at the end of the leaf margin, first buds will be formed along the leaf margins. In the leaf margins, bud will be formed. After later, this gives rise to the new plant. So see here, new plant is a bud will be formed at the margins of the leaf end. So after that, later that's become grow like this, and then that become a new plant. This is the vegetative propagation by leaves. So, and the next concept is very important. Those three are very just examples for you, but very important concept is this sexual reproduction in plants. It is a very important concept for you. See here, sexual reproduction in plants. So here reproductive organ of plant is flower. In the sexual reproduction of plant, the reproductive part of a plant is flower. A flower is said to be either unisexual or bisexual. In the sexual reproduction in plant, flower is the main reproductive part. In this one, either flower is said to be an unisexual or that flower is said to be an bisexual. If either male or female reproductive part is present in it, that means both male and female reproductive. See here, either means either male or female. So reproductive part will be present in it in the unisexual. That uni means single. Either male or female reproductive part is present in it. That is called as unisexual. That means in the unisexual either male part will be present or female part will be present. Example, papaya, watermelon. These are unisexual flowers. So bisexual means if both male and female reproductive part are present in it. That means bisexual means that contains both male and female reproductive parts. Example, China rose or mustard. China rose means Hibiscus rosa cyanosis. In Kannada word, Dasavala. Flower name is Dasavala. In this one, that contain both male and female reproductive parts. That's why this flower is called as bisexual flower. This is called as unisexual flower. So now we shall discuss what do you mean by asexual versus sexual reproduction in plant. So they give or they ask the write the difference between asexual and sexual reproduction in plants. So first, asexual reproduction. In this one, that does not require both male and female reproductive part. So your parent cell will be divides into an or parent plant will be divided and then that grow into a new plant. So it is easier and faster mode of reproduction. So by the help of asexual reproduction, seedless plants can also be grown by vegetative propagation. Desired traits can be preserved through generation. For the next generation also, desired characteristics will be preserved. And new plants are formed are genetically identical to the parents. And the new plants what that will be formed ಯಾವ ಹೊಸ ಸಸ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ ಅದು that resembles as like parents characters. That means if the mango tree has very sweet and tasty, if they get in the form of asexual reproduction method and the new plant that will be grown grown into mango tree, the fruits of that mango tree also very sweet and tasty. So it is a very that's very useful method of for getting an genetical identical parents or identical plant through the that continues through the next generation also. No genetic variation, there is no genetic variation, exactly identical plant we are going to get. That means exactly identical plant means we are get same characteristics plant. That means the plant that getting from an asexual reproduction by the method of asexual reproduction, that plant have the same characteristics as like the parent plant. But in sexual reproduction, relatively slower mode of reproduction, that will be somewhat slower mode. And in this one, genetic variations are so new traits, so new varieties will be formation takes place. So here this will be more diseases. Now we are going to discuss the reproduction or the reproductive part of a plant, that is flower. How the reproduction will be takes place in the flower. So what is a flower? Reproductive organ of the flowering plant. Modified shoot. So reproductive part of the flowering plant. So which is the reproductive part of the flowering plant means flower is the reproductive part of the flowering plant. These are modified shoot. So we are going to study what is the structure of flower. So flower contains, first one is stalk, thalamus, this is stalk, this is thalamus, this is sepals, dalagalu. So stamen, this stamen is called as up to here, this one and this one. These two are called as stamen. These are all male gametes and these are called petals. Dasavalada dalagalu. And this one is carpel. This carpel is called as female gamete. These two are male, and both male and female gametes will be present in the flower. That plant is called as bisexual, and if they either maybe male or female will be present, that is called as unisexual. Here this one is bisexual flower. So this contains both male and female gametes. So male is called as stamen and female is called as carpel. Sir, we are going to study one by one. See here. Structure content. Flower structure content. Stalk, thalamus. This is thalamus. This is sepals. This is called as carpel. Female gamete. This is petals. And this is stamen. So first one, stalk, holds the flower. This will be holds the flower. Thalamus, swollen upper portion of stalk. Swollen upper portion of stalk. This upper portion of stalk will be swollen by this thalamus. Next, petals. Colored part of a flower attracts insect. These petals are very important in the flowers because these flowers attract the insects. If the color will be red or dark in color, the insects will be easily attract to the flower and they come and suck the nectar. In that time, the reproduction will be takes place inside the flower. How that will be takes place, we are going to study in the next continuation. And next one, sepals, endure protections. So these ensures a protection for these petals. Stamen, this is male reproductive organ or male gamete, pollen grains. So stamens, this is stamens. In this one, pollen grains will be there. These are the male gametes. These pollen grains are called the male gametes, and this stamen is called as male reproductive organ. Next one is carpels. This carpel is called as female reproductive organ. In this carpel, female gametes are ovary or ovum or egg. We call that one as ovum or egg. This is present in carpel. This carpel is called as female reproductive part, and this stamen is called as male reproductive organ. In this one, pollen grains will be there. These are the male gametes. So both male gametes and female gametes are fission takes place, then formation of zygote, and then there will be a growth of new plant. So we are going to study one by one. First one is stamen structure. So in the stamen, this one is there. We are going to take this one. This is the stamen. In this one, stalk that bears anther. So stalk that bears anther. So here will be there at the end. This is called as anther. So what is the work of this anther, or what this will be contained means, below structure at the tip of filament. Each loops has two pollen skeins. Each loops has two pollen sacs, and each pollen sac contain pollen grains, and each pollen sac contain pollen grains. Here will be there notes here. These are the pollen sacs. Sacs ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚೀಲ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ವಾ, ಇದ್ರೊಳಗಡೆ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, pollen grains ಇರ್ತವೆ. connective. Part attached to the back of anther. So part attached to the back of anther. This anther back, that there will be a part will be attached. So this is this anther. Anther ಏನಿದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಇದು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಪಾರ್ಟ್. And next, carpel. It is very important. This is female reproductive organ. In this carpel, this is female reproductive organ. In this one, female gametes, which one means ovary or egg. Ovary or egg will be there. This contains this carpel contains upper part is called as stigma, and this middle part is called as style, and last one is called as ovary. In this ovary there is a presence of ovum or egg. Those two are called as either the ovum or egg, called as female gametes. No content. First one is ovary. This is called as, totally this part is called as ovary. So basal enclosed part of carpel. So this is enclosed part of carpel. Ovarian cavity is termed as locule. So encloses ovule. This ovule is enclosed by this ovary. This ovary is enclosed by this ovule. Ovules are attached to the cushion-like structure called placenta. Style. This is called as style. In this one, tube-like structure that connect the ovary and stigma. This style, the tube-like structure will be there as like water pipe. Very small, fine structure will be there. When you go and take that China rose flower and dissect that each parts very carefully or very sensitively, you get the each and every fine parts of the both male and female reproductive organ of the flower. This style is tube-like structure that connects the ovary and stigma. And then stigma located at the exposed end of the style. This stigma is located at the exposed end of the style. What is the help of this one means when the, so I will explain in the next one. Next concept will be there. So first you should know what do you mean by ovary, and what do you mean by style, and what do you mean by stigma. So here I will explain how the reproduction takes place in plants in the flower part. So here, first here will be there. This one is stamen. In this stamen there will be a male reproductive part will be present, that is pollen grains. So in this one, see, I already told that this is pollen grains. In each pollen grains, these are the male reproductive gametes. So when these male when the insects or birds comes or maybe or maximally insect that will be comes and sit on the flower to observe the nectar. ಅಂದರೆ ಮಕರಂದವನ ಹೂವಿನ ಮಕರಂದವನ್ನ ಇರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ದುಂಬಿಗಳು ಬಂದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸಿಟ್ ಆನ್ ದಿಸ್ stamen, and in that one there is an pollen grains will be there. These are the male gametes. So that will be stick on that insect's leg. So that one will be enters into this stigma, and then that will be comes through this style, and then that reaches to the this ovule. In this ovule there will be an ovum or egg will be there. So that pollen grains that will be fertilized with that egg. Finally there is a formation of zygote, and that converted into that what called seeds, and then that seed will be buried in the by the natural process. What are the natural process means we are studied in the next slides. By the natural process that will be grown into new plant. See here, how means pollination, fertilization, seed formation and germination. So these are the 4 different method of reproduction occurs in plants, but main reproductive part of plant is flower. In that one, both male and female organs will be there. Stamen, and another one is first one correct. See here, stamen, that is the male reproductive organ, and this carpel, this is called as female reproductive organ. In the male reproductive organ, male gametes are pollen grain. In the male reproductive organ, male gametes are pollen grains. In the female reproductive organ, carpel, in this one, female reproductive or female gametes are, what is that? Ovum or egg. Don't forget that, ovum or egg. These are the steps to be completed sexual reproduction in plants. Here, first what will be happens? Pollination. This is the very important method. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to sigma. From anther to sigma. Anther is the this is present in male reproductive organ. Stigma is present in female reproductive organs. Here, from anther to the stigma. Anther to the stigma. We already shown the part of this individual parts, carpels and stamen. This, in this one, two types will be there. First one is self pollination and second one is cross pollination. Self pollination means there will be a transfer of pollen grains from stamen of anther to the stigma in the same flower or in the same plant. So transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma. In this one, this is self pollination and cross pollination. This will be happens mostly in bisexual flowers. So here both male and female organs will be there. From male to the female organs, there will be a transfer of pollen grains from male organ stamen to the female organ carpels through the anther to the stigma. Self pollination, that will be happens in bisexual flowering plants, and cross pollination is happens in unisexual because that contains either male or female reproductive organ. This transfer of pollen grains occur with the help of pollinating agent like wind, water, insects, birds. So how the pollen grains will be transferred from anther to the stigma means with the help of pollinating agents. Which are the pollinating agents? They will ask, list the any four pollinating agents that occurs with the that helps to the pollination of or transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. So stigma means either by wind ಗಾಳಿಯಿಂದ or by water ನೀರಿಂದ or by insects or birds. Insects are very most common agents or pollinating agents. So here there are two types of pollination will be there, self pollination and second one is cross pollination. Pollination means transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. So self pollination that will be happens in bisexual, and cross pollination that will be happens in unisexual. So they will ask define pollination means you should write transfer of pollen grains occur with the help of pollinating agents called as pollination like wind, water, insects and birds. So pollinating agents which carry pollen grains from anther to the stigma of same or different plants. So that means, so pollinating agents, which are those wind, water, air, birds and insects, if they carry pollen grains from anther to stigma of same or different plants, either maybe that will be takes place in same plant, ಅಂದರೆ ಒಂದೇ ಥರನಾದ ಗಿಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು, ಅದೇ ಗಿಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೈನ್ಸ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾರಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸ್ಟೇಮನ್ ಟು ದ ಕಾರ್ಪೆಲ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಟಿಗ್ಮಾ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಅದೇ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇನಿಲ್ಲ, ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಗೂ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. They are classified into two types: biotic agents and abiotic agents. So see here, pollinating agents, living organism which act as agent of pollination, insects and birds. These two are called as biotic agents, life. Abiotic agents means non-living objects which act as agents of pollination. Pollination occur by chance. That means either by wind or by water. How this will happens means very simple, dear students. So, in Kannada, what we tell means ಈ ದುಂಬಿಗಳು ಅಥವಾ ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ, ಬಂದು ಫ್ಲವರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕುತ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಇನ್ ದಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ದಟ್ pollen grains that will be attached to somewhat sticky like will be there. ಸೊ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ತನ್ನ ಆ ಕಾಲುಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ರೆಕ್ಕೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಂಟ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಸೊ ಅದು ವಿಲ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಆರಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾರ್ಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಗಾಳಿಲಿ ಅದು ಬಿದ್ದು ಐದರ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಸೊ ಪಾಲಿನೇಷನ್ ಮೆಥಡಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯೂ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಗ್ರೋ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ವೆರಿ ಟು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಬಯೋಟಿಕ್ ಏಜೆಂಟ್. And abiotic agent means wind and water with the help of wind. That means if the wind will be very fast, the lightweight seeds are that will be fly through the air and that will be at a particular place or somewhere places they will be grown with the act of wind, water and climate. That means rain. Pollination by wind ಹೇಗಾಗುತ್ತೆ, how the pollination will be take place. Pollen grains carried by wind from anther to stigma. Characteristics of a plant pollinated by wind, that is light pollen grains. Here will be only light pollen grains will be carried out by the wind, non-sticky pollen grains. Because if the pollen grains are sticky means they are attached to the birds or insects. When they are birds or insects sat on that flower, these are non-sticky pollen grains means they doesn't sticky on that insects or birds any part. Well exposed stamens and a large feathery stigma. Pollination by water, it's very important and it's also very easy concept. See this one. Less common mode of pollination, it will be very less. Water pollination can occur in a number of ways. First one is water act as a medium for gamete transfer in lower plants. Female flowers reach the water surface by a stalk where male gametes were already released. So male gametes are already released in the water part, upper surface of the water part. When female flower reaches the water surface by a stalk, then there will be an pollination will be occur. So here male gametes are released inside water where flowers remain. So only male gametes are released inside water, whereas flower will be remain as it is. This will be the pollination that will be happens by water. See, it's very important. Biotic this one is pollination by biotic agents. Bees are the most common biotic pollinating agent. Bees ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ದುಂಬಿಗಳು ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. That is Genu. So in this one, animal pollinated plants, insect pollinated plants, two types will be there. Animal pollinated plant means they eat somewhere fruits and some vegetables are example. Some fruits will be they eat, and then after that during excretion some seeds that are not completely digested, they are when they excreted that waste material in that one, seeds will be there. By the action of wind and water, that will be buried inside the soil, and some days or some months that will be grow. Insects pollinated plant means same like that will be transferred from pollen grains to the stigma. Insect and animal pollination in this one, because of the colorful, due to the colorness of the flower, so that flower will be attracts the insect and flowers, and fragrance, due to the good fragrance, so insects and birds will be very easily attract to that one, and nectar for the sucking of nectar. ಆ ಮಕರಂದವನ್ನು ಹೀರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇನ್ಸೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದು ಕುಳಿತುಕೊಂಡಾಗ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಕಿ, ದಟ್ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೈನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಕಿ, ದೇ ಆರ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಟು ದೇರ್ ಫೆದರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ legs. And also pollen grains that will be transferred from male to the female reproductive organ, that is carpel. So these are the important concept that comes under the sexual reproduction in plant. In the next class we are going to discuss how the reproduction takes place in plant. That means after entering that pollen grains from stigma to the stamen, through then that reaches to the ovum or egg, what will be happens in the next step, what will be happens in the next step, that is how the fertilization will be takes place or how the zygote will be formed. So we are going to discuss that concept in the next class. So today's class you discuss only what do you mean by sexual reproduction. In that one, what is unisexual reproduction and bisexual reproduction. This is unisexual reproduction and bisexual reproduction. And also you studied that along these two, you studied that difference between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. And next one you studied that what is a flower, and next you discussed that structure of the flower. Dear students, today's homework is you should write this structure of flower and label the parts. And this one you know that which is one is called as female reproductive part and which is called as male reproductive part, and the male gamete is called as pollen grains that is present in stamen, and female reproductive part that is present in carpel that is called as ovum or egg. So we all studied that each part, that is what is called each part or where that will be present, and we studied that male reproductive part, that is stamen structure. In that one filament, anther will be there present. In the anther means illide ನೋಡಿ, there will be an sac, ಚೀಲ ಥರ ಇದೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ pollen sac, there will be a presence of only pollen grains. That pollen grains is called as male reproductive gamete, male gametes. And female structure in this one carpel, this contains mainly three parts. First one is stigma, second part is style, third part is ovary, and this female reproductive part is also tube like structure will be there. Through the stigma, ಈ stigma ಮೂಲಕ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, pollen grains will be enter and that reaches to the ovary. There will be a present of ovum or egg. So next how the fertilization takes place in this ovum or eggs we are going to study in the next class. And how sexual reproduction occur in plants means by the pollination or by the fertilization or by the seed formation or by the germination. These are the four types that will be that will be steps to complete the sexual reproduction in plants. So we studied that what do you mean by pollination, that is transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma, that contains two types, self pollination and then cross pollination. Self pollination means this is bisexual, in the happens in the bisexual flowering plants, it is happens in the unisexual flowering plants. So pollination means transfer of pollen grains with the help of pollinating agent. Which are the pollinating agent means birds, insects, wind and water. Pollinating agents classified into two types, biotic agent and abiotic agent. Biotic agents are insects and birds. Abiotic agents are wind and water. Next, pollination by wind. So this is the pollination by wind and pollination by water. And last one is pollination by biotic agents. How means animal pollinated plants and insects pollinated plants will be there. So how the pollination takes place means they attract the insects or birds They attract the insects or birds by their colorful flower, or by the fragrance of the flower, or by the nectar of the flower, or by the pollen grains. So these are the concepts we have studied in the today's class. And dear students, today's homework is draw a neat label structure of flower. Draw a neat label structure of flower. This is the today's homework for you. So you at least try to draw the flower figure and learn to label the parts of the flower, because that will be asked for your exam for 3 marks. It's compulsory. Okay, thank you students.